What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to The Hook Shot, and today we will be breaking down the big fights on this weekend's pay-per-view, UFC 298. A lot of those big fights, and I am really, really looking forward to this because the main card is fucking fantastic. If you're new to these, my name's Lucas Cohen. His name, Rohan Borges, and I don't see why we don't jump right into it. How do you feel about... the last fight we talk about is the main event. Let's start with the featured
I like that.
prelim. I feel like that's better, right?
I think so too.
We lead into the main event.
Yeah.
Let's start with the featured prelim.
Okay.
It's Mackenzie Dern versus Amanda Lemos. Now, I believe originally this was supposed to be Lemos versus Tatiana Suarez. I loved Suarez in that matchup. I mean, you look at what Wei Li Zhang did to Amanda Lemos in their fight. Imagine what Tatiana Suarez would have done to her. But no, in steps in Mackenzie Dern, and this is a completely different matchup. In my eyes, this is very hard to call. Amanda Lemos, she is brutal on the feet. And you look what Jessica Andrade, another fighter that's very brutal on the feet, did to Mackenzie Dern in her last fight. She demolished her. Will Lemos be able to stuff the takedowns? Dern, not the best takedowns. She really doesn't have the best takedowns, but if she can get you to the mat, that's where the danger is. I don't know. It's a tough fight to call. Will Dern score the takedowns? I've gone back and forth with this one. It's hard to call. I'll predict Amanda Lemos wins this fight just because of that last Dern fight. Just a horrible look. I saw that one in person too. Just bad luck. But honestly, I'm 50-50 on this one. This is it's a tough one to call. Rohan, what do you think?
Yeah, guys, Amanda Lemos all day, every day for me in this fight. And it comes down to one thing. Obviously, everybody knows Mackenzie Dern, her game plan, she's going to try everything she can to get you down, keep you down, submit you. That's her whole game plan. The thing about Mackenzie Dern, though, and is what has been her Achilles heel and will be again, I think, in this fight, is that her striking is so bad that it kind of hurts her grappling in a way because she's not able to set up those takedowns like a normal, or better jiu-jitsu fighter is that's better adapted to the striking game. Her striking is so wild and so chaotic. It's like she's just swinging at air half the time, and that doesn't really allow her to get the cleanest takedown attempts. So I think the strength advantage is all the way on Amanda Lemos' side. She'll have no problem on the feet. We all know that. She has the cleaner boxing, the cleaner striking. To your point, it all comes down to can she defend the takedowns. But Mackenzie Dern can't really set up takedowns that well, and I don't think she's going to feel threatened at all if she tries to make this standing fight. Obviously, what happened to her in that last Andrade fight, maybe that'll change something in her mind to where, or her approach to where she's like, all right, I'm not even going to think about standing. But if she does, she's going to get abused, and I think Amanda Lemos, either way, will have success in this fight, so I got her.
So you're confident in this one?
Yeah, I'm very confident, man. I really didn't think I'd be, but just after, reviewing, all Dern's history and her past fights, it's the same thing every time, and it's the same thing in the Andrade fight. We know that Jessica Andrade can be taken down. We've seen it. Tatiana Suarez destroyed her. Obviously, that's not the same, style. It's a different, wrestling kind of style. But Andrade, destroyed Mackenzie Dern. She destroyed her. And I think Amanda Lemos has that same power. And if this is on the feet, she's going to have all the advantages. So in my opinion, it's just Mackenzie Dern is so sloppy. She's so sloppy, bro.
I honestly think this fight is decided based on which Amanda Lemos shows up. I think if we see a composed Amanda Lemos that can see all the takedowns coming from Dern, I think then she'll win. However, if we see a wild Lemos just swinging for the knockout, I think Dern may be able to out-IQ her and time those takedowns. I don't know.
She's not going to out-IQ her.
That's exactly. That's why I'm predicting Lemos, because I do feel like Lemos will come in calm. She'll see the takedowns coming. Mackenzie Dern, not very strong when it comes to, getting those takedowns and being physical in the clinch. She's very, very good on the mat. Very good, but will she be able to get it down there? I say she does not. I say Amanda Lemos survives the ground onslaught if it happens. And I think Amanda Lemos gets this one done. But for me, hard to call. Rohan seems confident in this pick. Yeah. Very excited for this matchup. Let's get into the first fight onto the main card. Compared to the rest of the fights on the main card, obviously the name value isn't there, but this is going to be a very fun fight. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez will be taking on Roman Kopylov. And I feel like if you told me this fight was happening back in 2021, I'd be all over Anthony Hernandez. I mean, Roman Kopylov back in 2021 got mauled by Albert Durov, who's now cut and submitted and just got ran through. I mean, absolutely ran through. But in this last three or four fights, I believe, he's just looked like a different fighter. He's looked absolutely incredible. He's been able to stuff the takedown. He's been able to work to the body, work to the head. Just brutal knockout after brutal knockout. Man. And now it's a tough one to call. I do think it's Kopylov early or Hernandez late. Another fight that is very, very tough to call. I'd say is near 50-50. Anthony Hernandez, I'd be picking him if he hadn't shown, a weakness to kicks and punches to the body in the past, because that's where Kopylov shines. But he especially early, Hernandez gets hurt. And I think Kopylov is live to get that early finish. But man, if this fight goes over 1.5, I'd say that Hernandez could drown this guy. I really think. I know Kopylov has made so many improvements. He really has. But man, if this fight goes late, it's going to be Hernandez all day, every day. It's tough to call because I could see Hernandez getting finished early. But man, he's faced some good competition and he hasn't gotten finished early. But I mean, you look at the strength of schedule, right? You go ahead and read me the last few matchups.
Three opponents. So he faced Edmund Shabazian in his last fight, won that in the first round. Then Marc-Andre Barriault before that, and then Josh Friend before that, who was Kopylov's last opponent.
So here's the thing: after you read me that, I feel like none of those guys are as dangerous as Kopylov in the early rounds. But I feel like
this is the best opponent either of them have faced in a while.
Agreed.
Agreed. Shabazian also is just really underwhelming in his past few fights. Kopylov is so talented on the feet, but to your point, I mean Hernandez now is just like a completely different fighter. So yeah, I don't know, man. So you're going Kopylov?
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know.
This is tough, man.
This is another tough one to call.
But you were alluding to it earlier. The body work from Kopylov and how he's able to mix it up so well, and then the threat, obviously the speedy threat of his feet. We saw what was that? A head kick knockout. Was it Ribeiro that he knocked out clean with the head kick?
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh my god, man. That was so clean. So he's shown that he has the striking power and the technique and the versatility, the ability to mix it up. So I don't know. To your point, it's going to come down to who's better in the later rounds if it gets past the first round. And the thing about Kopylov is he's so good at using his pressure. I don't know if in the later rounds against somebody like Fluffy, is he going to be able to use that pressure the same way he has against guys like Fremd and Ribeiro. These guys are not talented, but we've seen, I think Hernandez has shocked a lot of us in his recent fights. So, man, this is tough. I think I got to go early knockout Kopylov. I think.
Wow.
I think he keeps up the momentum, and he's just had some brutal performance after brutal performance. I mean, you could say the same thing about his opponent, freaking Fluffy, man. It's so tough to call, but I love the striking of Roman. So I think early finish is on the table, and I'll pick him.
It's just, if you look at the career of Fluffy Hernandez, I understand the competition hasn't been amazing, but
I mean, but not bad, though. Not bad. He lost to Kevin Holland, but he beat Vieira. That wins kind of aging well.
You're the one backing Kopylov.
No, I know, but you're just saying he hasn't faced the best. I'm saying neither of them have.
Let me just say the point. This guy really drowns people. He drowns you. And we've seen Kopylov drown before. However, has he improved so much to the point where he can't get drowned by this guy? That's why this is so tough to call. Because, yes, we've seen this happen to Kopylov, but we haven't seen it within the last few years. Yeah, man, Rowan's going Kopylov. I feel like I should go. I'll say Fluffy Hernandez wins a decision. I don't think he gets him out of there. I think he will be hurt in that round one for sure. Probably a body kick. I think he'll survive. I could see like an early stoppage situation and Kopylov gets the win. Another super hard fight to call. But I will say that Hernandez survives that early onslaught. Barely wins round 2. Clearly wins round 3. Almost gets a finish in round 3. And wins a decision. Give me Anthony Hernandez to win by decision. He's going Kopylov. Brutal knockout.
Yeah, I think he's got this momentum right now. So does Hernandez, man. But it's tough. I'm going to just say Kopylov.
He's going Kopylov. I'm going Hernandez. Let's move on to the next fight on the main card. It is Machado Garry versus Jeff Neal. Arguably the most hated fighter in the history of the UFC. Now, in the history of the UFC, who's more hated than this guy?
Yeah, I don't know, man. He's not really giving anybody a reason to like him, so it makes sense. It's not surprising, but yeah, right now, this recent run that Ian's had is just kind of, it's bad. It's bad for him. But hey, he's still undefeated, man. He's got that undefeated record to his name, and you can't really say anything when he's doing what he's doing in the cage, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can't. And I'll just give my prediction here. My first confident pick so far is going to be Machado Garry. I think this is a really good stylistic matchup for him. Don't get me wrong. Of course, Jeff Neal is live to get a finish. I mean, this is a guy in Ian Garry who was dropped by Song Kanon. You can never forget that. It happened. And Jeff Neal, if he turns this fight into a war, he will be live to win. However, I just feel like Ian Garry has more paths to victory. As much as the hate this guy gets, I try to look at this fight with a non-biased perspective. And I do think that he is the more talented martial artist. I feel like this fight could hit the mat if Ian Garry wanted to, and he could win on the ground. I feel like he could look for submissions. We could possibly see an Ian Garry submission here. I mean, look back at that Shavkat Jeff Neal fight. standing rear naked choke, no hooks in. Jeff Neal's very susceptible to those rear naked chokes. I don't know. I feel like we could see a late Ian Garry submission here. I do think Ian Garry will hurt Jeff Neal on the feet. We've seen him hurt on the feet. I like Ian Garry to win this fight. I do think he wins every round. I think he mixes up his strikes. I do think he looks good in this matchup. Jeff Neal, again, if he turns it into a war, he could knock him out. Ian Garry, not the best chin. But, man, I just feel like Ian Garry is very, very talented. And I think his talent wins him this fight. Simple as that. Rohan, what do you think?
Man, I mean, this one, I know for you, it's one of the easier ones to call. For me, this is really tough, man. And it comes down to the fact that, like, Jeff Neal, if you look at his opponents, he is just facing killer after killer after killer, and maybe some of them a little washed up. But he hasn't really, other than the Stephen Thompson and maybe the Shavkat one, he hasn't really been, outclassed in any of those performances. And as a matter of fact, he's looked really good in a lot of them. Ian Garry hasn't really faced anybody comparable to a Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal is a prodding guy. He's going to stay in your face the entire time. He's got a high guard. That's one thing I do worry about, is that Gary's going to be at the range. He's the longer fighter, clearly. And Jeff Neal kind of keeps his hands really tight to his face. So I don't know if he's going to be able to see all of what's coming back at him. But, man, the one thing about Jeff Neal, he's able to take a shot. And Ian Garry, we saw, who did he get knocked down by? Was it Park? Who is it?
Song Kanan.
Song Kanan. He got dropped by Song Kanan. And look, it was a clean knockdown, and he ate it, came back, destroyed him the rest of the fight. But just the fact that that guy, that caliber of fighter was able to land that clean of a shot on Ian Machado Garry gives me a little bit of worry in this fight. And, I mean, he beat Neal Magny really convincingly. That was not a close fight. But Neal Magny's on the way out anyways. And Jeff Neal actually finished Neal Magny, if I'm not mistaken.
No, he lost to Neal Magny.
Oh, he lost to him. Fuck, he did lose to Neal Magny. Fuck, my bad. But
different stylistic matchups, though. You can't really compare them.
It is a different stylistic matchup. But, man, I just struggle to see, because Ian Garry hasn't really been tested at this level before. Jeff Neal is such a different fighter. Like, I guess the Daniel Rodriguez one is the most comparable fighter to a guy like Jeff Neal, who's gonna use his pressure the entire time, be in your face. But I don't know, man. I think, there's a lot of animosity in this matchup now, too. It's tough just because I don't think we've seen Ian Garry tested like this before.
Well, let me try to help you out here a little bit. When it comes to Jeff Neal, I really feel I'm still picking Ian Garry, but if you want to defend the case of Jeff Neal, I feel like we've really seen a turnaround in this guy's career. Like in 2020, 2021, this guy was getting beat down by the likes of Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, by even Neal Magny. Like, he clearly lost to Neal Magny. But recently, I mean, he's turned it around 100%. He beat, he destroyed Vicente Luque. Yeah. I mean, nobody's done that to Vicente Luque. He beat somebody else, I believe. It was a fight that went the distance. Ponzinibbio, obviously it's Ponzinibbio, he was getting older. But that Luque win, I mean, this guy was dealing with a lot of shit, DUI, all that. But
even before, like earlier in his career, he had that nasty head kick. Was it Mike Perry?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like he dealt with a rough patch in his career, and I feel like I feel like he's really turned it around. However, I'm still going Ian Garry. But final prediction, we need one.
I'm going Jeff Neal, bro. I'm going Jeff Neal. I think Ian Machado Garry is the more talented fighter. He's the more talented striker. I don't think this fight hits the mat at any point. I think it's going to be stand up the entire 15 minutes. But Jeff Neal can eat a shot, and I don't know if Ian Garry can eat the same type of shot. So, man, I'm going to pick Jeff Neal, and I think he gets him out of there. That's my prediction.
It's very rare that we disagree so much. Like,
but
2 out of 3 we disagree.
I'm just not confident in Ian Garry based off of the level of competition he's faced. I've seen him in there with guys, and I'm like, yeah, you look really good. Obviously, pick Neal Magny apart. But can you do some of that to somebody like Jeff Neal? I don't know. But, the Stephen Thompson, now I'm thinking back on it, the Stephen Thompson loss was bad. But again, that was 4 years ago.
You can't really compare that. But now that
different fighter, so I don't know.
Now that you said that about Ian Garry, I'm very interested to hear your take on the main event, which is a situation of that. A guy who's extremely talented and a lot of people think could win, but hasn't faced nearly the level of competition. We'll get there in a second. Let's move on to this next fight on the card. Merab Dvalishvili versus Henry Cejudo. I feel like we'll get back on track and agree once again. And you're more confident than I am in this one. I think this is a closer fight. I have a pick. I'll let you go first because I know you're very confident here.
I don't think Henry Cejudo can win this fight based off of that last Merab performance. It was so freaking dominant, and I don't think that anybody could have seen that coming. Petr Yan was a champion. Had he not done that to Aljamain Sterling, would have probably reigned for a while. People still arguably think he beat Sean O'Malley. I don't know. That was a really close fight. This is a really talented dude. He looked like a can. I mean, he made him look like he wasn't even supposed to be in the octagon with him, let alone, like, it was that bad. It was that bad. And it was not, anything flashy. It's not any combination that he had. It was the same exact thing. It was like we were watching a freaking repeat of a video or some shit. He would just go for a takedown and maybe not be successful, maybe get him down for half a second. He would eventually get back up, and Merab would be right back in Petr Yan's face. That's the thing about this dude. He does not get tired. He doesn't get tired. And Henry Cejudo, man, at this point in his career, does he really feel like he has what it takes to get back to the belt? I don't think so. Is his cardio at this point in his career? He's a little older now. Is that a question? He's an Olympian, so I don't know. But Merab Dvalishvili is just so freaking different when it comes to the pressure, the forward pressure. It's relentless. I've never seen anything like it. And I don't think he finishes him because Henry is so seasoned as a veteran. He's been doing this for his whole life. I don't think he's going to get finished if he finds himself in a dangerous position. But I don't think he's going to hurt Merab. That's the thing. I don't think Henry at this point in his career is going to hurt Merab Dvalishvili. And Merab is going to be in his face. He's not going to have to worry, and he's going to get it done. So I think a decision is the safe pick just because he's not a finisher. So, yeah, Merab by decision is my pick. Easy.
Well, to play devil's advocate here, I do feel like when you mention that Merab Yan fight, this is different. I mean, now he's facing an Olympic-level wrestler. But where I have to agree with you is, I mean, you look at that Aljo Cejudo fight. Mm-hmm. He was getting taken down. He couldn't deal with the pressure. That's literally Merab, but on crack.
Exactly.
At the same time, this guy Merab is an incredible chin. The only thing he may be a tad bit susceptible to are certain chokes. I mean, if you look way back at that Ricky Simone fight where he got put out by a guillotine, that's not saying Henry Cejudo can really offer in this matchup. As you said, Cejudo, he's getting older. I feel like he's a tad bit out of his prime. I still feel like he is really good, and I still feel like this will be a closer fight than you think, but I have to go Merab. I have to go decision. This guy's pace is just supreme. I don't think he has anywhere near the level of success he has in that Petr Yan fight. Also because, it's not 5 rounds. Merab gets better as the fight goes on. But still, I'm confident we will see at least a 29-28 decision for Merab. Cejudo may be able to steal a round. Maybe not. But I'm going to pick Merab Dvalishvili in this matchup by decision. You agree? Do you think he gets finished or decision?
No, I don't think he finishes him just because of how
it is Merab,
and how seasoned. Yeah, and Merab is not really a finisher either. So I think it's a decision. And you're right. He's not going to have the same success as he did in that Yan fight because that was just a complete mismatch of styles. But I think he still has a lot of success in this one. So yeah, that's my pick, Merab.
So far, we have agreed on 2, disagreed on 2. Let's move on to the co-main event. Robert Whittaker versus Paulo Costa. And before I get into my prediction here, I heard it was like a week or 2 ago where we were recording like a Future Champs video, I believe, and you seemed to make a statement that Paulo Costa could definitely win this fight.
Is that not
I'm gonna hold you to that when I break this down. So let me break this fight down here. Mm-hmm. Robert Whittaker versus Paulo Costa. I feel like if we see that same Robert Whittaker that we saw in that Dricus du Plessis fight, Paulo Costa could win. But I heard, rumblings, from Whittaker himself as well, that he came into that fight injured, like broke something. Don't remember exactly what. I believe it was his foot. But yeah, he was just so off. He was so off in that fight. And man, I do think he dominates this fight. Strictly, I hate to compare matchups here, but look at Paulo Costa's last fight against Luke Rockhold. He looked awful. He did. And you could blame that on, Salt Lake City, the altitude. That could definitely be a part of it. But this guy did not look good. It's almost like his power wasn't really there. He didn't even seem to hurt Luke Rockhold badly. This guy's known as the Eraser. That's his nickname. He erases you. It seems like the power isn't really that there. You got to wonder, is this guy fully focused on MMA? I mean, he's always pulling out of fights. He seems like he's got other shit going on. He loves to use Twitter. How focused is this guy? I feel like Robert Whittaker's in a spot where he wants his get back really, really badly. I mean, he wants to prove himself that he is still up there with the rest of the middleweights. He wants to fight back for that rematch with du Plessis. I feel like Whittaker's more motivated in this matchup. I feel like I feel like he dominates this fight. I'm going to pick Robert Whittaker. I feel like we see a much better Whittaker compared to that Du Plessis fight, and I like him to win in this co-main event. I'll say either round 3 TKO or decision. I think he slowly breaks Costa down. We may see a finish, we may not. I will go Robert Whittaker to win.
Yeah, I might have been saying something about Paulo Costa having a good chance. Maybe not a good chance. He has a chance, but I don't think he wins this fight. And you kind of broke it down perfectly, man. Robert Whittaker, that was so shocking of a defeat. That was even more shocking to me, just the way it happened, the finish, than maybe even like Strickland Adesanya level. That was so insane to see. And obviously, I mean, it's only one loss. It's not, and Dricus has proven that he is a championship level fighter. So it's not a terrible loss. It's just that for Robert Whittaker, you know, it was a wake-up call. He's alluded to it multiple times. It was a wake-up call for him, and he was like, you know, I underestimated Dricus's hunger. And I think that's a mistake. Obviously, you can never underestimate your opponent, and he knows that. He's a veteran. But man, to your point, I think he wants this back so badly. I think he wants this win so bad. He wants to prove to himself, to the UFC brass, that he is still a top 3 middleweight in the world. And Paulo Costa, like you said, in the Rockhold fight, I was expecting him. I mean, what was Luke Rockhold when he accepted? Well, how old was he? Like 38, 39? What was he? Like, shit. I mean, it felt like it was a grandpa coming in there. And even at times in between rounds, you would see Rockhold like freaking hands on his knees, hands on the fence, because he was gasping for air.
He was 37 in 10 months, almost 30.
Okay, so almost 30 years old. And for a middleweight, that's pretty old, man. And he wasn't doing anything. He was out of the freaking octagon for so long. For Paulo Costa to have as much trouble with a freaking shell of Luke Rockhold as he did, that is such a worry to me, man. And I mean, I don't think that he has that same pressure / power that Dricus Du Plessis has when he fought Robert Whittaker. I don't think he's going to be able to bring that to the table. And man, I don't think it's going to be Izzy level destruction, but it might be, because, you know, every time it's like Izzy beats one of these contenders and then Rob does it kind of even better. Like we saw it with Gastelum, freaking Cannonier. He finished Cannonier. Izzy wasn't able to. Like we could see, I like that prediction of a round 3 TKO, just because like you're definitely able to break somebody like Paulo, who's pretty stationary. You're able to break him down as the fight goes on. So I definitely get to see a late finish, but I think I'm going to go Whittaker by absolutely dominant decision. I might have been saying something about Paulo. I don't know what I was saying. After doing the research, I definitely got Whittaker in this one.
I don't think there's anything else to say. We're both going Whittaker, and we both think he wins fairly easily. Let's move on to this main event. Probably, you know, the most exciting fight we're going to see in the first half of 2024. I mean, UFC 297, this is the best fight compared to that card. 299, I feel like it's the best. It's better than O'Malley Vera. Anything on UFC 300 so far, it's better than that. This fight is absolutely incredible. Mm-hmm. And as I mentioned earlier, you know, it's the battle of the young gun who's looked so promising and so good as well, versus the guy in Alexander Volkanovski, who may be getting up there in age. He's 35. Who is coming off a brutal knockout from a lightweight. That could have affected his chin. But you just look at his resume, and you look what he's done to his previous opponents. Just look at that Max Holloway fight, round 3 between those guys. I mean, just absolutely demolishes him. And this is still a prime Max Holloway, and he just runs through him. And then you look at that Yair fight. He showed that although this was before that Islam knockout, that he has a chin on him. Then he can take those straight punches to the face. I mean, he took a hard punch to the face from Yair, ate it, and then fucking just finished Yair. An incredible fight, but then he did get knocked out back in October. You gotta wonder, has that affected him? I'm going to say, I don't know. Because, listen, guys, listen. I've been so back and forth on this fight. Originally, I was on Volkanovski. I was like, he's going to win this fight. I'm confident in Volkanovski. He's coming off a brutal knockout, but we know how good Volkanovski is. And then you see how confident Ilia Topuria is, and you're questioning yourself. You're like, man, is this guy going to win? And you go look at the highlights from Ilia. You watch his tape, and you see how clean this guy is with the boxing. However, Rohan, I'm going to pick Alexander Volkanovski to win this fight by decision. Here's the thing. I feel like Islam Makhachev is the definition of a stylistic nightmare for this guy. I mean, a guy who can wrestle top-notch elite wrestling, but at the same time offers brutal kicks. You look at a guy in Ilia Topuria, he's got good wrestling, but at the same time, I don't think he's thrown a body or a head kick in his entire UFC career. A lot of people are saying Volkanovski's chinny. He's going to get chinned, but how is he going to get chinned? When have we seen this guy hurt? Like, hurt by a punch? I don't think it's ever happened. It really hasn't. I mean, you look at the Max Holloway fight. Yeah, he got tagged by some punches. That one, the big knockdown in that fight, it came from a head kick. This is a really hard fight to call, but I'm going to say Alexander Volkanovski survives the round 1 and round 2 onslaught. He starts to break Ilia Topuria, pick him apart. I feel like we could see a round 4, round 5 finish. I'm going to say Alexander Volkanovski by decision. And one more thing I'll say before I pass it off to you. There's a stat that UFC champs, or it's either UFC champs or just fighters fighting for a title that are 35 and up are like 2 for 29 of all time. Wow. And if they're 35 years old or older, they're 2 and 29. And the only 2 wins came from Tyron Woodley. So technically only one fighter was able to do it. That's why I'm so hesitant with this prediction. But what we've seen from this guy is unlike any other fighter at this weight class. He's so dominant. He's so good. I think stylistically, I'm going to look at this fight from a stylistic matchup, and I'm going to predict Alexander Volkanovski to win probably a 48-47, maybe 49-46 decision over Ilia Topuria. I just rambled a lot. Rohan, what do you think?
Hey, man, as you're breaking it down, and to your point, this is one of the hardest fights that I've ever had to call, really. It is that close in my head, and as you're breaking it down, man, I think I have to agree with you. I think I have to agree. And it's funny because, like, in our Future Champs video, we both said that Ilia would be the champ at the end of the year. So it's like, does Alex keep the belt throughout the year? I don't know. Is this fight close enough to where they have to run it back?
That's what I said in that Future Champ video.
Right?
I said,
yeah,
you did say
I
think Volkanovski wins a first fight by decision, but it's so good of a fight that we see another one later in the year.
Yeah.
I don't know if I stand by that. I don't know. I'm just so this fight. Go ahead.
It's so confusing, man. I don't know. It's polar opposite. You got a young, hungry challenger who has, finish after finish, and the Josh Emmett one wasn't a finish, but damn, it was as close as it gets.
10-7
round.
As
close as it gets, man. This guy is a wrecking. It's a one-man wrecking crew. But then Alex Volkanovski, you look at the level of competition that he is just exposing. Max Holloway in that third fight exposed him. Yair Rodriguez took a few shots, exposed him on the ground. Brian Ortega got him up out of there. He is just absolutely... he's incredible. He's the featherweight GOAT. I think that's not even a conversation.
Agreed.
And obviously everybody's going to talk about the chin and the age. The age is one thing. I don't think he's shown that age in his recent fights at all. I think obviously the Islam one, he got knocked out, but that's where I come back to the chin thing. It was a head kick, and it was a perfectly placed, perfectly timed head kick by the pound for pound best fighter in the world. This is, if you're going to beat Alex Volkanovski, in my opinion, this is what I've learned about watching this dude. He's only lost twice in the UFC. If you're going to beat Alex Volkanovski, I think you have to be technically better than him on that night. And we've seen it with Islam. He was technically better than Alex Volkanovski. He out-wrestled him. He even outstruck him, and he did it in the second fight. He knocked him out, but it was technically perfect. I don't think that Ilia Topuria has that level of technical ability to beat Alex Volkanovski and to finish Alex Volkanovski, because that dude is a freaking... Guys, that Brian Ortega submission, tell me you weren't thinking, ain't no way. His face was turning purple, and he survived that shit. This dude is a warrior. One knockout has not changed that, man. He's done too much for me to deny it. I think Ilia is just, the power's obviously there. The boxing is there, but does he offer, the complexity, the mix of all the elements of martial arts that you need, like Islam has, that needs that you need to take somebody like Alex out of there? I don't think he does. So I agree with you, bro. I think I'm taking Alex Volkanovski to retain the title. He's like, what, 36 or some shit, man? Fuck all that, man. He's
35. Relax.
35. He's keeping it, though. He's keeping it. I really do see him holding the belt. I do.
And I could totally see, like, by Saturday, myself thinking that Ilya Topuria is going to win this fight. It's that kind of
I
fight.
know.
You just keep flip-flopping. Like, you
I'm
don't
trying
know
to convince
who's going to
myself
win.
as I'm talking, bro. But it just the fact of the matter is Ilya's been so dominant that it's always going to be tough to pick against him. But this is the GOAT, man. This is the GOAT. That's why he's the GOAT. So I got to pick him.
We'll end it off on that. We're both going Volkanovski by decision. That's all we got for you guys today. Let us know, what do you want to see more of in the comments? Also, what do you agree with? What do you disagree with? Do you agree with our prediction, with our breakdown? Let us know in the comments down below. Like, subscribe, all of that good shit. It's been Lucas and Rohan signing off.
Peace.
Adios.